tourist site in all over Morocco, and it is the second imperial city. The first imperial city is Fez, that was created and founded by the Idrisi dynasty.
After making the 5-hour drive from Terroudant, we have finally hit the outer edges of our next destination. Marrakesh is often touted as the Las Vegas of Morocco. With bustling commerce, shopping, and nightlife, it attracts thousands of tourists from all over the globe. It hosts a population just over 1 million people and continues to grow as people continue to migrate here.
And the palm tree is in the middle of the land, and you want to take it off, you have to pay $2,000 to the town hall to take you off the palm tree, because not allowed to move out the palm tree.
Marrakesh's history dates back nearly 1,000 years when it was first founded by Morocco's Almoravid Empire. The founding of the Red City stimulated the spread of Islam throughout the whole country and some parts of Spain. New religious movements partook in the spread of Islam, building mosques and religious sites, one of which is the renowned Koutoubia Mosque. This mosque happens to be one of Marrakesh's foremost tourist attractions, a landmark that can be seen from nearly every square in the city. Marrakesh's economy continued to grow through the influx of tourism and trade. It was situated on trade routes that stretched deep into East and Southern Africa. People from all over the world came to see historic sites located in the city. This paved the way for souks and outdoor markets, which also continue contributing to Marrakesh's economy. Jews in Marrakesh have had a deep history here since its founding. With periods of acceptance and persecution, Jewish cultural institutions are being preserved or restored thanks to support from the government, NGOs, and private groups. Some scholars remark that Marrakesh, as late as the 19th and 20th century, had one of the most substantial Jewish populations in the region. At the same time, there has been a diverse mix of Jewish influence, with local Jews developing a distinct culture from that of other parts of Morocco.
So now we are going to be going here next, and you will see on your right the Koutoubia Mosque that was built in the 12th century. Can you see it? On your right there. And now they just finished the Friday prayers. Your restaurant is on the left. We are going to make a U-turn. So on the top, can you see that piece of wood on the top? That piece of wood there shows you the way to Mecca. Facing, so for the deaf people, they will take out a flag. So he will know the time of the prayers. And at night there is a little white bulb. Goes also for the deaf person, knows the time of the prayers. It's true that is not a joke.
Would you get to eat? No.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah. What'd you get?
Got the shashika.
Can you see that? That then was the main entrance to the Jewish quarter. So it wasn't the ghetto. They had to open this every of the week to work inside, and only on Friday night, as Tov said, was for an eruv, so they can carry on Shabbat, and also to have no people business to come in. The arch that you see here is written Rabbi Mordechai ibn Attar. The wood ibn Attar is Attarin. He was in the spice market.
Morocco's noteworthy history includes a long period where Muslim and Jewish settlers accepted each other's differences and worked to bring their businesses to fruition. The Mellah in Marrakech refers to the area where Jews resided. Living in their own separate quarter meant that they were protected in the Kasbah walls, more easily watched and, sure enough, taxed by the government.
From one house to the other house. Why? Because the Jews never let the wife to go by herself out. If she wants to go to shul, to the synagogue, or to the market, she has to go with her daughter or with her son, never by herself.
The Jews formed lucrative careers working as the financial representatives of bankers, tailors, and even the jewelers of the area. Mellahs in Morocco, especially by the mid-1500s, became their own small cities, which included synagogues, outdoor markets, fountains, and balconies overlooking the tight alleyways and streets. The remnants of the Marrakesh Mellah are now known as the Hay es-Salam area. While many Jews no longer reside in the region, some still live here as their families chose to remain rather than depart for Casablanca, France, or even Israel.
Hello, let's go in, please. Hi, So they built this beautiful synagogue. The building is from 1492. The rest is all been restored. And wasn't only a synagogue, was also a school called Talmud Torah. Over the years, 22,000 kids. They were over this synagogue, this school that is outside there, until in 1967. This building was closed. It was Mr. Ohayo, who we having dinner with him tonight. He restored this one to keep it as one of the one synagogue left. That before him there were 32 synagogues.
There's some prayers out on the wall. Is that a new?
No, normally these prayers, that's what you have in your siddur, in the prayers.
Yeah.
So don't open the siddur, look there and read it. That's what they do, it's because we don't put pictures. So that's what you see there. Lam Natsiyah Mizmor is what we have it in the siddur. That's it. Huh?
Creates a crescendo and gets resolved. I can leave my job on Fridays at a certain time.
Today is Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath. It's known as a day of rest and remembrance. There is considerable debate on prohibitions during Shabbat. These are the ones we are observing today include not using technology like cell phones and cars. That's why, to our surprise, we are riding to service on horse-drawn carriages. It was quite an adventure to be in a carriage with traffic buzzing and honking. Here are pictures from the outside of the Bethel synagogue I took before going in. I obtained some photos from others that had previously gone in to show you what the inside looks like. It's a moderately sized space with men only sitting in the main area, or what some Christians call the sanctuary. Women were put in a separate room behind a veiled curtain. More on that in a minute. This was my first time experiencing a Shabbat service. This is the essence of why I came on this trip. I wanted to learn more about the Jewish religious experience. As we entered the worship space, the men, myself included, donned kippahs as a sign of respect to God. At first, I sat in the back just to observe and soak in the experience. As more and more men came in, men moved to make space, and somehow I ended up in the front row, in the middle. I wasn't nervous or anything, but was unfamiliar with Jewish liturgy. Thankfully, an elderly man to my right would tap my elbow when it was time to stand and when to sit. All of the religious books were all written in Hebrew, so I couldn't read any of the words or understand what was spoken. There was a man in one of the far corners, praying or in some type of meditation. He seemed to be dressed as an Orthodox Jew. The rest of the men had on slacks and a dress shirt. Although I could not understand a word being spoken, I could totally feel the spirit of religiosity in that place. At the end, my new friend nodded at each other and shook hands, expressing Shabbat Shalom to each other. As I mentioned before, the women were put in a veiled room behind a curtain. That angered many of the women in our group who walked out of service in disgust. They ended up having their own service in the courtyard of the synagogue. The two women rabbis with us led the service. I can totally understand their anger. As a geographer, I observed in that moment both the characteristics of Shabbat as well as the women's responses to being hidden in a sacred space. Afterwards, we walked to the home of a local family that raises money and supports the restoration of Jewish cultural sites in Marrakesh. It was quite a feast of roast chicken, vegetables, and breads. The homeowner broke out in song that many of the other group members seemed to know, but I had no clue as they were all in Hebrew. Again, the men were asked to wear a kippah as a sign of respect. As you can see in the photo, it sits on one's head like a dome of sorts. The meal was very good and was appreciative of the chef's work.